The Houston Rockets probably made the biggest splash this offseason, and we are talking like a Lizzo cannonball into a pool-size splash, okay? When they traded for Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, this was by far the biggest move this offseason, and it has set the Houston Rockets in a path where they are now in a win-now situation because their best player is now basically a guy who's a few years away from being in a retirement home. Okay, he's not that old, but he's, in NBA terms, he might as well be that old. Kevin Durant is definitely no longer the spring chicken that he once was, but he's still an extremely good player, and I think he's definitely good enough to be the best player on a finals winning team. The problem is the team ready as a whole to compete in their win now window, or did they jump the gun a little bit, and is it too early? I'm going to be getting into that all in this video. I'm going to be comparing them to the other best teams in the Western Conference. I'm going to be breaking down their roster, and I'm just going to be getting into depth of this team and saying how good I think they could possibly be. So if that does sound interesting to you, please watch the video all the way through. Hit the like button, subscribe button, and the word of me. And without further ado, let's get right into this video. So the first thing I want to do is going to be breaking down the roster, and let's start from the top. Then we're going to start with your star of the team, and that is obviously the Durantula, okay? Mr. Twitter Fingers himself. So despite him being old, like I said, a lot of people are kind of letting it fly under the radar that Kevin Durant is still that dude on the basketball court. Like, I get he has off-the-court things people don't like. I get that he's getting older, and he hasn't had the most, playoff success for the past few seasons, but I think that was a lot more circumstance than anything that had to do with him. If you still look at his numbers, he's still giving you an easy 25-plus points a game on great efficiency, still one of the best offensive players in the entire NBA, and in my opinion, is still far and away good enough to be the best player on a finals-level team. Now, I don't think he can carry a team there anymore, but I do think with a good team around him, he can be the best player on that team. So I don't think him being the best player on the Rockets is a problem by any means. I do think they only have a few years to take advantage of this window, maybe one or two if counting this year, but I do think the window is still possibly open. So I think Durant being the star of this team is perfectly fine, and I think a lot of people kind of forget how damn good Durant is as a player, and I think he's going to earn a lot of respect this year if the team can stay healthy and all things go right. And then moving on from him, let's just get into what his co-stars are going to be. Now, these players aren't in any order. This is just some of the key contributing guys that I want to highlight. The first thing I want to get into is going to be all their high-level young talent on this roster who's probably going to have a big impact on them this year. The first player is going to be Amen Thompson. Now, Amen is insane, okay? He is an elite defender already. Unbelievable athlete. His slashing ability is very good. His finishing ability is very high. The only thing he is missing is a consistent jump shot. If he makes his jump shot a little bit more consistent, this kid is going to be a star. I think him and his brother are unbelievable, and the only thing they're missing is this jumper. And both of which, especially Amen, has improved his three-point efficiency and really just efficiency overall from his rookie year to last year, and I think he's going to once again improve from his year 2 to his year 3 season. So if he can keep consistently improving the jump shot efficiency, I think he is going to be a problem. He's already a beast, and I think he's only going to get better. He has great size. He can guard 1 through 3 unbelievably well. His athleticism gives him a ton of versatility. Offensively, he still has so much room to grow. I just think overall, Amen is an absolute beast and is going to be a huge part for this team, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit if he makes that star jump this season. And then the next player I want to get to is going to be Alperen Sengun. Now, Alperen is a very solid center. Now, I have my vices with him, but I don't mind him on this roster as a whole for reasons I'll get into a little bit later. Now, Sengun is a very offensively talented big man, and offensively probably a top 5, top 8 center in the entire NBA. He has a lot of struggles defensively due to his size and his athletic ability, but I think there's a few things on this team that are going to help hide that, and I think that I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but I do think Sengun fits this team very well, and although I don't think he's a superstar or has the ceiling some people say he has, I do think he's a very good player and definitely 100% a better than most starting level centers in this league. So I think he's a great young guy to have. He will probably get a little bit better as the year goes on, as they get more comfortable together and Kevin Durant and all that. But I do think Sengun is a solid player, and he's going to have a huge impact on whether this team wins or loses this year. And then thirdly, I'm going to get into Jabari Smith Jr. Now, I get Jabari Smith Jr. actually coming in was supposed to be like KD Light, how they're built. Like, he was supposed to be KD's little bro. He hasn't lived up to those expectations, but he has definitely shown potential. And I think when he's playing with a guy like Jalen Green in the past, who's so ball dominant, it is going to be hard for a guy like Jabari Smith to become what he probably could be. But I think with the team he currently has, he is in a much better spot. And on top of that, compare the fact that you're going to have Durant, Amon, and Jabari starting at the same time. That is going to be one of the most lengthiest, biggest starting lineups in the entire NBA. They're going to be able to switch everything. Their defense should be off the chain, off the charts. They should be a great rebounding team, and offensively they should be a problem as well, because it's very hard to guard offensively talented people with that great of size and athleticism, all three of which have that in abundance. So I think Jabari Smith Jr. fits his team perfectly. I think he's going to learn a lot from playing with a guy like Kevin Durant, and I think his ceiling is still very high, and I'm not giving up on him, and I think he could legitimately be a great player for them going forward. And now for the guy that I'm super high on is going to be Reed Sheppard. Reed Sheppard, I think, is going to play a much bigger role this season for the team. Last year, he was kind of inconsistent in his minutes, and he didn't play at a super high level. When he did get those minutes, he showed flashes, but he wasn't the player that he was in the summer league or anything, which is to be expected, especially from a rookie on a good playoff level team like the Rockets were last year. But I do think Reed Sheppard is poised to have a much bigger role, and I think he is going to succeed in that. I loved Reed Sheppard coming into the class. I think he's basically what people thought Nikola Topic was going to be. Now, again, Nikola Topic, I'm not saying is going to be awful, but I think Reed Sheppard is a much better player. I think he has star-level potential, and although I don't think he'll start because, like, Fred VanVleet's still a very good player, and you probably want a veteran like him starting on a high-level playoff team over a second-year guy who didn't play much his rookie year in Reed. But I do think off the bench this year, Reed Sheppard is probably going to be one of the better offensive options anyone has. The kid's a beast. I think his ceiling's through the roof, and I think he's just going to be an absolute X factor for this team for the entire season coming up. And then the last young guy that I want to touch on is going to be Tari Eason. Now, Tari Eason fits this team so perfectly because think in your starting lineup, you have Jabari Smith, Durant, and Amon Thompson. All have great length, great size, good athleticism, and can switch everything, basically. So now having a guy off the bench in Tari Eason who can replace any of those three guys and give you that exact same skill set, being a great defender, great athlete, can score the ball, like, Tari Eason starts on a lot of teams, and I think he's a perfect backup for all three of those guys. So he is going to be an ideal bench player for this team, and I think he fits his team so perfectly. I love the fit Tari Eason has from them. So with how the team is going to function together, I think this team is very, very good. And then even outside of just their young talent and their star in Durant, they have other very solid role players as well. Let's start with Steven Adams and Clint Capella. The reason I'm putting these two together is because they're basically the same player, and they are the reason why I think Sengun's defensive problems aren't going to be that big of a deal. Because say you're playing a team that has a Joel Embiid on it. It's a huge mismatch for Sengun, and he's going to struggle a lot, and he has historically struggled a lot in those types of matchups, not just against him, but against teams that have that type of big that's actually super good. Now you have a guy like Steven Adams and Clint Capella, both of which are very good defenders, very strong. You're not going to bully in the paint, so it gives you a lot of versatility in your big man room that you desperately need. Every team kind of needs like a yin and yang. They need a very offensively talented big man who can spread the floor and do kind of the finesse things, but you also still need that old school grit and grind big just in case you run in that situation, because if you don't have either one, you're going to run into situations where you're just in a complete mismatch. But having this versatility in these different play styles in your center room is very valuable, and I think Steven Adams and Clint Capella are going to play a huge role in keeping this team together, and I think they're going to be huge pieces, especially in certain playoff series and certain games throughout the year. And then even on top of that, you have guys like Fred VanVleet, who's still a great point guard in this league. Now, yes, he's not what he used to be in Toronto because he's getting older, but he's still a great point guard. He can run point guard very well. He can score when he needs to. He can basically do anything you need. And Fred VanVleet's just an all-around very, very solid player. And then also Dorian Finney-Smith, a free agent addition they had this year, a very solid player, can shoot the three. He can defend well. He gave the Lakers great minutes. I think he's going to give the Rockets great minutes. And I just think overall Dorian Finney-Smith is a great player to round out your rotation. So from all the young talent and perfect fitting together they have, to having a superstar in Kevin Durant, to having great role players that complement each other as well, I think this team is set to be a very good one. But how good can they be is the question, and now that's where we're going to compare them to the rest of the Western Conference. So to do this, let's start off with the best team in the West, the OKC Thunder. They just won the championship, and they're probably going to be the favorites to win it again going into next season. Now, I will admit, the Rockets beating the Thunder in a 7-game series at this point would probably be a stretch, because I think Shea is better than Durant at this point in his career, which is a problem when you don't have the best player on the floor. I think their OKC Thunder roster, I mean, their chemistry is so good. They're going to develop. They're going to get better. I think the Rockets, although I love them and I think they have a lot of talent, they're probably going to also get better. I like the OKC's roster better. I think their coaching is better. I think all around OKC is just a better team. So although I think a 7-game series would be fun, I think OKC would probably win it in like 6 or 7 or 5 if OKC and the Rockets were fully healthy. Now, that's the big thing in the NBA. Health isn't guaranteed. There's so many other factors, trades, things like that. Anything can happen. And that's why you can't just go off, oh, OKC's better right now, so they're guaranteed to win again. No, anything can happen. So I'm not saying they can't beat OKC or something crazy won't happen, but I do think as of right now, OKC is still the better team, and that's probably going to be their biggest hurdle to try to get over if they're going to try to win a championship in the next few years. But then outside of them, you look at Denver, although I think Denver is a better a better team than the Rockets, I do think that the Rockets can match up with Denver's size. I think they match up much better with Denver than a lot of teams, and I think they can legitimately beat them in a 7-game series. Now, if I had to bet my life on it, I would give it to Denver, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if Houston could beat them in a 7-game series. So although I think it's going to be very close, I do think that it is possible to beat Denver, and I would say Denver is the second best team in the West right now. And then even the Clippers, who are going to be kind of the new kids on the block. Now, they're always good, but this year they're going to be supposed to be, if they're healthy, very good. Now, it is the Clippers, so fully healthy for them is almost impossible. Something catastrophic is probably going to happen to this team because it's the Clippers. But even if they are fully healthy, I think I like the Houston Rockets roster a little bit better overall. I think they're younger, going to be more hungry, more energized. They're going to have a better blend of old and young guys, which the Clippers are kind of just mainly old guys. So I do think I like the Rockets roster even better. So in my opinion, I have the Rockets at around the third best team in the Western Conference this year. Now, we give or take probably 2 or 3 spots because no telling how health is going to balance out. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if Houston finishes a top 3 team in the Western Conference. And if you're finishing top 3, no telling what happens in the playoffs. You can easily get hot, win series, do all that. And although I don't think that they're the favorite, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they could add just a few more pieces, maybe even trade for another high-level player, and you're going to be in contention right away. I think you're already a dark horse contender, and you're probably a star away from being a legit finals favorite, or at least like a equal contending level team to a team like OKC and Denver. So I think for sure they're very close. I wouldn't be surprised if they can even make a run this year if Amen or somebody or like Jabari takes a big leap and becomes that second star that they need. So there's a lot of different ways that could happen, and no telling what's going to happen. But I do think the Houston Rockets are going to be a top 3, top 4 team in the Western Conference, and I think they are poised to be a very, very strong team going forward. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be my first video. So comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think the Rockets are going to be very good? Well, how good do you think they're going to be? Where do you think they're going to finish? Or any thoughts in the comment section below? If you'd like to point the like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute word to me. And I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.